Was told I couldn't run, so now I fly. Told I shouldn't argue, but my spirit fight. Told I couldn't drive, now I'm flown. Told I'd never work again, look at all I've done. Told I should sit down, so I'll take my throne. Told people like me don't stand, now we're twice as tall. We work twice as hard to get half as far. You didn't make me great, was the other way around. They try to tell me, miss, you're in a mood. Correction, I am a mood, oh. You've been miseducated, this miss is amazing. You keep me saying, used to me, imagine you are making up for me. Imagine you are missing on queen, imagine you are wanting you on the ski, I'm an imagine you are getting used to me. Imagine you are making up for me. Imagine you are missing on queen, imagine you are wanting you on the ski, I'm an imagine you are.
Oh, please unmute. Well done, Crystal. That is such a beautiful song. Come on, guys, let's celebrate Crystal Asige, one of our panelists this afternoon. Well done, Crystal. That song is so beautiful. I've been listening to it from the day you released it. Well done. How pangwingwi ata wewe. Very good. All right, so allow me to quickly get onto our program. Thank you very much, guys, for sharing the posters, for speaking about this to many people. We really, really appreciate. We've had so many nominations. I think one of the parents or caregivers has been nominated by 200 people. It is shocking. I've sat and counted one by one, and another lady has been nominated by 150 people. So there was an overwhelming response, and we don't take it for granted here at Epic Lorraine. We are really, really grateful. But mine today is to sit back and let my good friend Sylvia Mora Muchabo to take over this. So allow me to introduce Sylvia. Sylvia Mora Muchabo is an entrepreneur, a mother of 3 boys, a philanthropist, a special needs and menstrual hygiene advocate. I don't know where Sylvia gets the time, but this girl has so much on her hands and she does it all so well. She's the CEO of Tech Hub Holdings Limited, a company that trades under 3 subsidiaries: Tech Hub Creations, Tech Events, and Tech Enterprises. Sylvia is a certified graphic designer, print, PR, and brand consultant with over 15 years experience, and she does a really good job. Sylvia is a founder of Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons Africa, a right-based not-for-profit organization championing for inclusion of persons with developmental disabilities and their caregivers. She hosts and produces her own TV show, Neurodigests, on Science TV, which serves to educate the public on the various neurodevelopmental disabilities for awareness, inclusion, and reduction of stigma towards special needs persons. In voluntary service, Sylvia is a Paul Harris +1, we call them PHF in Rotary. She's a Rotarian of Rotary Club of Muthaiga for the last 9 years and is currently serving as the Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 22 Africa at the Rotary International. She is the patron of Kenya Scouts Association for Madaraka Sub-County 2020-2023. Sylvia is a board member at Sense International Kenya and has been appointed to support the government in various capacities at the Ministry of Education, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD. She is the academic committee, a member in the Ministry of Health, Division of Health Promotion Technical Working Group, and the Nairobi County Gender Sector Working Group under the Disability Thematic GRP and Finance Committees. Her advocacy work has been recognized nationally. Sylvia was nominated in 3 categories of the Top Women in Business 2019 Awards: Global Grant Contribution to CSR, Best Government Liaison, and Social Entrepreneur Award. She is Zuri Awards honoree 2020 in the humanitarian category, in the DAR Awards First Runners-Up 2020, and National Diversity and Inclusion for People with Disability Champion Award. She's also been honored, for exemplary service in promoting equality and inclusion, where she was 3rd position nationally, issued by the National Gender and Equality Commission of Kenya. Sylvia is the National Director of Africa Pageants in Kenya, and she is the reigning Miss Africa Elite 2020 to 2022, Queen of Africa 2022, Miss Africa United Nations 2020-2022, and Miss Elite Face of Africa 2020-2021. I know Miss Elite Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my wonderful, wonderful friend, Sylvia Mochaba. Karibu sana, Sylvia, to take us to the next session. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Lorraine. It is an honor for you to have asked me to moderate this session, especially when it's a topic that is very, very dear to me. And also for the honoring of caregivers, that's very noble. We are always the forgotten quarter in everything. Like no one knows we exist somewhere, but we appreciate that you recognize what it is that we do. On to my panelists for today's topic, I would like for them to introduce themselves. And I will start with Crystal. Just tell us a bit of who Crystal is, and as a person with disability, tell us a tidbit of how, if it was inborn, like so that people get to relate with who you are. I think that will help us to also understand your journey. Then we can dive into the other questions. So yeah, we'll start with you, Crystal. Then we will go to Paul. And then I think Essie can tell us a tidbit about her profession and everything that it has to do, because I know, trust you me, when I go to my kids' school and I'm like, I have no idea how you all do this. You know, I have mine at home, but they drive me up the wall in every little thing. Like they love immensely. When they are pissed off, they are really pissed off. You know, there is just that genuinity that that there is. And yeah, so let's take it, Consolata, right? You also share with us what your journey is like and what it takes. So Crystal, take it up.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good evening, everyone. My name is Crystal Asige. I am an award-winning musician. I am also a YouTuber, content producer. I am a human rights defender. I sit on the board at Amnesty International Kenya. And I'm just enjoys talking, enjoys singing, enjoys making sure that everyone feels like they are included. Inclusivity, diversity, and equity is something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm also crazy about yoga, just FYI, and food. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I love that you're able to do all of those things. And but there is a saying that I always say, see the able and not the label, and you're proving exactly that. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Do you want to see my video?
Please, yes. We have to put a face to the name, man.
Okay, now you can see me clearly.
I see you very clearly.
Okay. Paul Mugambi is a public policy diversity inclusion expert, a content creator, accessibility enthusiast, and anything to deal with the digital accessibility. It's me. and I'm a smart speaker enthusiast, or even a person who can help to make the smart speakers to work. I'm also an artist, a musician. I'm the only blind cricket player in East and Central Africa. And also, what can I say myself? I lost my eyesight in 1997 when some guys were fighting. I was caught up. Then I got some wrong medication. And then Kenya Power switched them off. So I'm glad to be here.
Like what you say, switch it off. Okay, new angle to look at it, and I love your confidence and all the things that you're able to do. And I know very many people always question, like, if you are now you might Crystal and Paul, please. There is one question I've always wanted to ask, and I know we're all friends, and allow me to ask: should we refer as visually impaired or should we be blind? Which one is correct and okay by you? Because if anyone is asking a question, then at least they'll be able to address it correctly without offending anyone. Because I understand it's very personal.
For me, I'm blind. I'm a proud blind person.
Proud blind person. Crystal?
I don't mind either. I personally prefer VIP, visually impaired person.
All right, I like that. The short form is VIP. So people, when you're talking to them, please don't forget that part. I'm talking to VIP Crystal. Oh yeah, baby. So now, Crystal, you did not tell us, how did you end up here? I know
yes,
you're trying for people to get to know you.
Sure. So I wasn't born blind. I was born with full eyesight. And when I was in high school, I began noticing that my eyesight was a little bit funny. And fast forward at university is when I was diagnosed officially with glaucoma. Glaucoma is a degenerative disease, which basically means that really high pressure in the back of the eye eats away slowly at the optic nerves over a long period of time. So every year, the eyesight decreases until I am now a visually impaired person. And long journey, but all along the way, which you'll be hearing me talk about today, I'm sure, is lots of lessons learned. So very excited to be able to share.
Okay, perfecto. Now, teacher Consolata, are you with us? There you are. Now tell us, introduce yourself, and then tell us a tidbit of how for you your profession is like, because we all always say that it takes a lot of grace, a lot of passion to be able to be a special needs teacher, and also tell us what's your specialty in that, because special needs and disability is very wide. So yeah, kindly, and how you ended up there. Why you're not a regular teacher? Why did you have to choose this very hard test of being a special needs teacher?
Can you hear me?
Now we can, but although you're breaking a bit.
Now? Okay, now.
We can't hear you, Consolata.
Oh, now.
Though it's breaking, but we can try and figure out. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And my journey in the special needs field started a long time when I was in primary school. My school was neighboring a school for the deaf. And when we went for the games, they used to be so angry with us, and they beat us, and they throw stones. The one who was
we can't hear you, Consolata. Consolata, are you able to find a place where you have better network? Because it's very unstable. It's very, very unstable. Are you able to find a place where there's better network so we can hear you clearer?
Yes, I can try.
Okay. So we'll still get back to you on that. Right. So today's question, or today's big question, asked by our Madame Headmistress Lorraine, was asking, is love a human right? I know we all have different ways of looking at love, but the one default thing that anytime someone says love, we always think about the romantic kind of love, right? That's the first thing that hits you because that's how we're brought up to being. But then love, like we know, there are different types. There's agape love, which is the God for us and us for God. That only can't touch. There is a family kind. There is the one for friendship, and then there is the intimate kind of love. So today, being Valentino, we will talk about all this in one, in our experiences as such. Like, does it mean? And when you're looking at human rights, let me just really get it exactly how it's being described. Human rights are moral principles or norms of certain standards of human behavior and are regularly protected in municipal and international law. So now we are going to take our own law, which is now the PWD Act law, that love is indeed a human right, because we all deserve to be loved. We all do love. It's like a default thing. It's like breathing air. It's something that's there. We love things, we love people, we love activities. So we will encompass how all this means to us. I know Lorraine wanted to celebrate caregivers, so we'll also add that aspect of that. So since that is the main aspect, Crystal, tell me, what is the one thing that your parent or who's the closest caregiver to you? You know, we could have our parents who are either there or not there. We could have our caregivers, our aides, but then there is that one person that is very key and important to you that you hold dearest to. What is it that you actually expect, and what is it that they do or say that actually makes you feel loved? Because I know the greatest query is always for when you're a person with disability, and with the stigma in Africa. I know that's one of the greatest challenges we go through day in, day out. And not many people might understand what it is that you feel, because I've had so many people saying that persons with disability are a disgruntled lot. So is it that they are a disgruntled lot, or is there a missing puzzle, or is there something that we don't understand? Or what is it that we should change? I know that's a whole bunch of questions. So pick any three. Same sequel for Crystal, Paul, and then we can get to Consolata. She will introduce herself and also answer the question. So Crystal, over to you.
Thank you. The person who has supported me the most and still does until today is my best friend. She's my rock. She's absolutely everything. That's my mom. She has been somebody who has shown me love in such a way that I don't think can be replicated on this earth. Beside God, I think she's the other human being, or the only other person outside of myself who loves me so much. And she shows me love. So my love language is like acts of service, if we can go the love languages route. So that's my primary. So when I feel love from her, it's when she's supporting me. It's when she's doing small acts of service for me, even without me having to ask her, or even sometimes not even thinking that I need it, but she's just there, even if it's something small like a cup of tea, or, making sure that I know that, when you go out the door, make sure that you watch out for that door, things like that. She's always looking ahead and always looking out for me. And so that support makes me feel really loved. It makes me feel very covered. Another way is acceptance. She's accepted me from the beginning. Obviously, I'm her child. She's never, wanted to hide me. She's never wanted to make excuses for me, or tell people like, don't talk to my daughter. She doesn't got much to say. She's always pushing me to the front. Not many people, unfortunately, around us tend to push us forward. They always want to keep us back because of maybe their own insecurities, their own sort of shame, perhaps, or guilt, whatever it might be. But she's somebody who absolutely supports me and absolutely accepts me 100%. And that is a love that God has gifted me with in my mother. And I'm really lucky to have somebody who is that close to me. She's my best friend, man, my bestie. So yeah, disgruntled lot, nah. that comment makes me disgruntled.
I know, right?
I've never seen myself or other PWDs around me as disgruntled. I think it's weird because, okay, in like the normal world, let's say corporate, if a man walks into a boardroom and says, this is what I want this project to go this way, I want you to do it X, Y, Z, here's the deadline, no excuses, no ifs or buts. Everyone, leaves thinking like, wow, that guy is so assertive, he knows what he wants. But let a PWD do that. People will be like, why is this person, she's so entitled, guy, things like that. And I don't understand why it's okay for a population of people, but it's not okay for another population of people. We also know what we want, In fact, we're probably more in touch with what we need, our bodies, our boundaries, our non-negotiables. We're probably even more aware of them because we've had way more time to explore them, seeing as though there is a part of us that it doesn't work as well as other people. Let me put it like that. I don't really, disability, but this is my eyes. They don't work as well as somebody else's. So just because I know, does that mean that I shouldn't speak out about it? I don't know. So disgruntled is not a word that I believe PWDs are. Yeah, there are some people who are salty, but that's everyone, everywhere. Shape, size, color, doesn't matter. So yeah.
So generally, we love that your number one chapter, A Mother's Love, is one of the most undying. I think I can do anything as a special needs mother. The first thing is like, I know like, and I think sometimes you get tested in, we can't be protective. I'm sure you've experienced that. Sometimes you're like, mommy, I can do this, but it's just like that. I'm like, oh, my baby, because you're forever my baby, and I'm like, because we feel some of these fears on your behalf in terms of maybe sometimes like the child goes out and we see, I'll tell you as a caregiver, there is a time my son went out, the kids were being mean, but he's so pure. He didn't even recognize it. But for me as a mother, I was dying. I was crying inside on his behalf. And I don't want him to learn and pick that and then get it like, you guys are like, a purest form of it is what it is. Like you said, if you're doing something, you put your 100%, you give it your all, and you do it. It's so sad that we look at it like a limiting factor. Like just because of your loss of sight, that means things change. No, you have a full life ahead of you and you can do anything and everything that everyone else can do. And that's one thing as a society we need to face, we need to accept. We don't need to always be worrying, understand me, level up the field to my needs. That's equity. Yeah? Then that way you will be the best version of who you can be. And the things you're doing, Crystal, we salute you. When you stand up on stage and you own it. I know people will be like, damn, girl, are you sure? When you're doing all these things. And I'm sure your mom is one of the proudest people on earth, right? Like people like, that's my girl, we're changing the script. And that's what we want to see and continue being that role model, because I'm sure there is a girl somewhere, in my visitations of the different schools, I see how they look up to, and that is an inspiration for them. Like, don't give up no matter what people say, let them say you're disgruntled. And actually that disgruntled aspect is because life forces us to fight for things. All right. You have to put in extra pressure. You have to always say it is not fair. It's not being disgruntled. It's fighting for your rights. And that's the basic. Yeah.
Actually, my song as well, there's a lyric that I speak to with that particular topic, which is the lyric goes, we work twice as hard to get half as far. And that is my life. As a woman with a disability, as a woman with a disability who is also a youth, I always have to work twice as hard to get half as far as the next person. So yeah.
All right, perfect. Paul. Mr. Paul, the smart speaker. Are you with us? Okay, as Paul gets back to us.
Hello, I'm here.
All right, you're here. Okay, take it up, Paul. Tell us.
Thank you very much. These are interesting topic because as I know that for me, the most interesting thing, or I say that the love from God is very important, the first place. Secondly, my parents, and My late grandma was one of my best ally. You would always like defend me at all times, despite all odds sometimes. And it used to be fun when maybe when I tried to do this and that while you are young those days. And when I used to defend others, she would also come on my defense, sort of. On that question of being disgruntled, I think it's a question whereby people tend to underestimate the capacities of persons with disabilities. And more so, if you know your rights, you are sometimes seen as a person who is not behaving the way people expect you to behave. Because they have set some standards which are like sort of what you need to speak out. Like I can say in the early 2011 over there, when giving an example of even simple things like music, many people with disability are associated with singing gospel music. But I broke that norm, but people are like, why are you singing secular songs? Why are you thinking about other things other than what people expect from you? And this one also tells us that as persons with abilities, we have really to fight for the space, because there's no one who will give us a space if we don't contribute to it. Because sometimes I can really say that my own experience is that even within the disability sector itself, sometimes when you tend to think or have a different opinion about a particular thing in another way, people tend to think that you should not be thinking that way. You should think just like the normal way. So people tend to confuse that you know your rights, you know what needs to be done, but people need to make you to feel as if you're not supposed to be there. I remember this if sometimes back when there's this issue of like as a blind person, sometimes when you have this experience of having knowledge about cross impairment, you talk about other disabilities, maybe you find yourself talking about neurodiverse disability or even about the deaf, then you might also be questioned, why are you not talking about yourself? But at the end of the day, if you're used to know what is right for others, you'll always find yourself in that space of like defending even the others, even if they're not there. So sometimes I find it is a challenge, but we have to really move on and also make things to make others also join the participation, because this space is very much big, even if we are facing these hurdles of discrimination and marginalization. But at the end of the day, we have really to make others to join us, because one of the things which you might try to find out is that, especially for caregivers, they are not sure about the rights of persons with abilities because of the way the society has really taught persons with abilities that you have to be really thinking of sort of charity or begging syndrome. So sometimes you might find even caregivers, they're not strong-willed to defend some positions. And then you're like, you step in. Because sometimes, yes, they show us the love, but do they show us the love in the best way possible? No, because the society has really undermined even their own capacities, and even they're not given that space. Because if you may find maybe a school, and then a parent or a caregiver tries to talk about the bullying, that caregiver might also be bullied, or even that person with a disability within that school area might be bullied. Thank you. Are we together?
Sylvia, you're on mute. Yes, we are, Paul.
Oh, sorry. All right. Thank you, Paul. And we appreciate Grandma for always being there and also for championing for you. And I like that you're passionate about rights. Let's just ask you one question. Crystal had alluded towards what's your love language now that we are in the season of love? What's your love language? Like, what acts speak to show that someone cares and someone loves you, not just the romantic kind of way, but in general, like as your friend, for me to make you feel that you're special to me, you know, what is it? Crystal said acts of service. What's yours? Are you there, Paul?
I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I think mine is gift and also service too. Those two.
Gift service. Yeah. So we have it. I hope there is some gifts that coming your way this Valentine's this evening. It's not yet over till it's over. We have a long night ahead.
Exactly.
Okay. And then now, Consolata, over to you. And I hope at least we will be able, so you can take us from the top. I hope you can remember the full.
Okay.
About why you chose to be a special teacher and not just a general teacher, and what love means to you and what acts of love actually speak to you. Maybe we can switch off the video. We hope that will help. Just try with yeah. We can't hear you, sweetie.
Enough?
Okay, now speak. All right.
Yes. Right in my childhood, I was nimbling for death. And as we learned, we used to play games. And during the games, I used to see them very violent and throwing stones at us, and nobody loved them, and we never even used to like playing with them or going near them. Until one day when I was in class 6, they behave like that because they are trying to communicate to us and we are not understanding. And from there, I asked her, how can we understand them so that they can be lovable, they can play with us in harmony, and peace, and can be friends. And then from there, we started discussing about the deaf and how to stay with them at peace. That is okay. Then she little did I know that she was also aspiring to become a special needs education teacher. And this is a teacher who introduced me to that field. And from there, I started learning to become nothing short of an SNE teacher. So when I finished my Form 4, my parents were convinced that I would make a very good nurse. And I used to do voluntary work in a hospital that was near at that time. And so they took me to a nursing school, but still I was not contented until when I came back and I said, now I want my profession. And from there, special school for the challenge, because I still felt that there is fortress in me that is pushing me into the field of special needs education. So from there, I became happy. And in the year 2010, when I was recruited by the TSC, I was posted now to a public school to teach a unit for the intellectually challenged. And this is where I felt really challenged because some of these learners came to school even having not taken anything for breakfast. They slept hungry, yet in the neighborhood, I used to see other children coming with food to school, and so many parents went into the house to find food that was left that night still there. So I used to go with my runners with containers borrowing food. For 1 year, we did that until they realized the need to feed those who are not having. In the name of special needs, I also came to learn that some specialty, some learners came as a result of domestic violence. And so with that, and with my passion, I felt that I couldn't only help those who are intellectually, and I had to get the skills necessary to enable me teach learners with all kinds of disabilities because they were there and they are needy. And then I felt that many people did not like them. I learned, like in my community, there is this that is passed from one generation to the other that disability is a curse from God, those stereotypes. It is a curse, it is a bad omen, something like that. And people still hold. So I've seen my parents, even today, once they have a child with disability, they change their names in the village, so they start calling them the disabled boy, that parent, the bride, girl, something like that, that makes me feel hurt. So my service to these runners and my determination to become a special education teacher started that long. I have a lot become aware and enlightened about these disabilities and how they feel when they find themselves stigmatized at the school. And currently, I teach a unit in a regular setting. And Sylvia, if there is anything that I have found, if there is anything that I have found really hurting, it is the stigma. Because I'm stigmatized as a special needs education teacher, and you will find even my that one is on stage of record. Yes.
You're really breaking and we're now training to hear you. Let's see if we can get you some technical support so that we are able to get every word of what it is you're saying, because it's breaking, and if, as much as we're trying to make out what it is you're saying, we're getting it in bits and pieces. So we're sending technical support your way shortly, and then you will let us know once that is done, and then we'll take it up again. All right. Paul, you had alluded to something about the gaps that are there. And we're talking about rights, and we're talking about love being a right for all of us as humans. And I know I had a gossip somewhere where they were talking about if you don't find love by a certain age, that we qualify. This is not in Africa, of course, so that's more on the Western side. But I'd like to hear what it is that you feel that it is going to be qualified as a disability. What's your take on that? Just as we wait for that to be sorted and before we go to the next step, like what's your feel on, or what's your sentiments on that viewership that if you don't get love by a certain age, that is actually being looked at as a disability? Do you agree or don't you agree? Even to our listeners, you can, and those who are in the room, you can drop us a message and let us know. What is your view on that? Crystal, tell us. What do you think of that?
I don't agree that if you don't have love by a particular age, then it should be considered as a disability, because you don't know what God has planned, you know? What I get today, somebody else might get in, 30 years or vice versa. So there can't be a timestamp to being loved. So some people who have, given their testimony of the sweetest love, that they found when they were 60, for example. Others who thought they did find love at, sweet 16, but actually ended up being just, a shambles in the end. So I don't think that, I think that's a far-fetched sort of ideology. But in terms of love being a human right, I think personally that it is a human right. So I'm talking about it from like a perspective of God. If God created the world and he created love and he is love, that yes, we all deserve to be loved. Like you said, there's different types of love. And I think that we all deserve to feel and to also be able to give that kind of love. Because if we are made in the image of God, then we should be doing the things that God has in his heart and his spirit, right? Which he's given unto us as well. So I think that, okay, for example, even those people who might be listening who are not Christian, for example, I think that, okay, my question is rather, why is it that even those who are atheists or other religions or that don't believe in Christ live their life always chasing after love? It may manifest in, sex, that might manifest in looking for acceptance in friendships. It might manifest in going into drugs and trying to get a release from that. But everyone on this earth is always looking for a way to like fill a gap inside them, right?
Yeah.
But how can somebody feel a gap inside them if they haven't had that gap filled before? Do you understand what I'm saying? How can you?
You don't
for example,
understand. How will you look for it, right?
Exactly. If you've never had it before, even before you came onto this earth, then why would you be looking for this thing? That means that I believe that means that we all know what this whole love, this love, this like a fully encompassing love feels like. That's what we all came from there, and that's why when we're born and we live our lives, we're always searching for it here on earth. We're searching for it in different corners of the earth, different ways. It's because we're trying to find it and feel it again. So that for me makes me believe that love is totally a human right. Even though it might not be in the dictionary meaning of it, definitely in our hearts, we know what love meant or means somewhere in our existence, and we're trying to get back to that. So yeah, man, different types of love as well, very important to be able to experience each of them. Romantic love, friendship love, God's love, parental love. If you have all of them, my goodness, you've really been blessed. But even if you only have an opportunity to have one or two, yeah, man, just try to replicate it and pay it forward. I think as somebody with a disability, I have learned a lot about different aspects of love. Love, to me, I've learned that because I can't see, I listen more intently. Because I can't see, I am more aware of my surroundings. I try to make sure that people around me, I'm in the moment with them. Those three types of things are all types of love. I'm showing love in different ways. Because of my disability, I have understood the importance of giving someone time. That is love. I've learned the importance of making sure everyone is included. That is love. So my disability has totally, if I didn't have my disability, I would not know half the things I do at this tender age of mine. So I think it's a natural blessing, and God knew what he was doing when he had that written in my future, and I'm just grateful.
Awesome. I like that you have painted for us the picture of what positives have come out of acquiring the disability, because your life was normal before, right? And then it slowly changed, and you had to adjust how you relate. And you've shown us a bit of the action. Just to finish, since you already touched on what I wanted to ask next. We always talk of actions being louder than words. And for you, like you said, listening, paying attention. Those are some of the actions of love. But which one is the greatest for you as a PWD? What is it that the people around you would do to make you feel loved and appreciated? You see, you've told us what you do more, so that's your way of showing love, right? We know your love language. You told us how, like you listen more, and those are some of the acts of love. But then, what is it that others do other than now what you told us, the way mom handles it, etc. We're talking about now the community, the surrounding community, and not your caregiver. What is it that you would expect from me, let's say, as your friend as Sylvia? Yeah, to show that I love and I care about you. Because friendship is part of love, right? Yeah. We'll go to the other department after that.
We must.
Now we have to touch on for sure.
I think for me, acceptance. Just accepting me for who I am, flaws and all. I think that real people aren't perfect and perfect people are not real. So me as who I am and the things that I can do, can't do, which everyone, by the way, has an aspect of both. If someone accepts me for who I am today, not to mean that I should just sit in this comfortable space and not grow and not evolve and not learn or unlearn, things that are unhealthy. But if you accept me today, then when I change a little bit tomorrow, you accept me. And then if I change a little bit the next day, maybe you might rekebisha maybe I've gone wrong here, but you still accept me. That for me is love, and it's really important. And God is somebody who's, Pastor Ondachi said recently, he was like, God loves us the way we are, but how come we just don't love him the way he is? And those are the things that he said, that in couples therapy he sees a lot of the communication or breakdown happening when two people don't accept one another for who they are completely.
We want to love this part and ask this one to change so we can love it the way we want it to love, right?
Correct. It's like, you change so that I can feel happier in this relationship. You change.
Then I love you a bit more. But I believe that acceptance is part of the love. Like, it's the greatest show of love, accommodating and accepting, and having these people in our lives. Paul.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
First, I would like to say that that dream of love and becoming a disability, it's a far-fetched dream, and I strongly dissociate myself from it, because I don't really find it to be more even happy. Sometimes when you experience these issues of disability, even other persons with disabilities in this panel, they might also tell you sometimes you feel as if you should even run away from your own disability sometimes when you experience some things in life. Yeah. For example, if you find yourself in that corner, sometimes you really try to ask yourself, do you really deserve to be blind sometimes? Yeah, because of such things which are happening around you, around the world, etc. Secondly, when you look at this aspect of love, it is very interesting because 99% we practice love. It's just that we don't recognize it the way we do it, because we do it in different format and different ways, the way we like it. Then for me, the aspect of time works well when you get to allow me to be who I am. And then touch is also an interesting part, which I coined a term called touchiology, which people very much ignore, but it's very present in many persons with different disabilities, not just the blind person, even maybe the deaf blind persons. They rely so much on these, and many people don't think that they don't understand, but at the end of the day, it's something which works for persons with different impairments. And also allowing people to not judge them, give them the space, get to listen to this other person where he's coming from. Because sometimes the issue of love and when you get this aspect of acceptance, if a person who has a disability has not yet accepted himself or herself, it also becomes difficult for him to be accepted by the other persons without disabilities. And from the experiences which we have from our own communities, we find that mere acceptance of yourself really can make you to go beyond your limits and get things done well, or practice what you really need to do. Even the children who are under their caregivers, sometimes we might assume they don't understand love, but at the end of the day, they really understand. And if you may take your time to just take a step back and get to know how they do or how they interact with others, you'll see those signs of love, and you really try to understand them in a more better way. That's how I look at it.
Okay, perfecto. Thank you very much. And to touch on your tautology, I know that's one of the, especially for the neurodiverse community, there is different pressures from different types of touch that really comes, especially children with autism. And you see, even through touch, that's how we get massages, and we've seen it in therapy.
Exactly.
That really works. And you know, like love is like a healing power. You know, it's like a superpower. Have you ever seen someone when after they fall in love, the way they start glowing, and you have to see a whole different person from the person that normally is there. So yes, love is quite something. And you touched something about self-acceptance, right? For as a person with a disability, you accept yourself, then others will accept you, you know, and I really believe in that. But one thing, Paul, you didn't tell us, what are the actions that others will do that makes you feel as a PWD, especially with the change and everything? What is it that makes you feel that love and accepted by the community and the society that's around you, apart from now the family? Because you see, sometimes for us as family, we feel like it is our duty. You know, like this is my child, this is my sister, I have to love them, I have to embrace them. But for you, when this happened, there was your before, there is now your after. So what is it that the small things that you now appreciate more than ever that was just that thing before, but now it really means a lot to you, and it's an act of love for you?
What I really appreciate more is the independence. Once I discovered my own independence is one of the things which I really love most, and people respecting my space. I really love my space because being a creative person, you'll always do crazy things in terms of art and thinking beyond things. Because sometimes, giving an example for me, when I decided to be independent or to do for my own things, sometimes you might find myself disarranging everything, then arranging, doing things in my own version, the way I really feel that I should be. So I expect you to maybe give me that space and see that whatever I do to according to my own standard and beliefs. And even given that opportunity, I can even do, given that space, it can really make things at much different, and I really feel more appreciated, and it brings that happy environment sort of.
Okay, perfect. I don't know if Consolata is back, and she's back on 100. Consolata, are you with us?
Okay. She's back and now with no sound. Oh dear.
Okay. All right. We have some
technology.
Technology, it can make it or break it for us. All right, there is someone special here. Judy, our sign language interpreter. Please introduce yourself. You can do both sign and at the same time speak. I think that's like a superpower, man. So tell us about what are your views, what it is that, how do you look at all of this that we're talking about? How is it for you? And why sign language? How did you end up there? All right, there's a bit of interference. Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. No worries.
Okay, I'll be a bit slow, especially for the VI, because I'm signing and interpreting. It's a bit hard, but I'll try.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Judy Kihumba, and this is my sign name on the hair. I started my journey when I was in high school in the deaf world. I joined a deaf school, a school for the deaf. I didn't join because I was deaf, or I wanted to join there. It's a family issues that made me join the school. But I'm glad that my grandma saw it fit for me to join the school, because today I am who I am because of this decision that my grandma decided. Why in the deaf world? is, I think 98% of my friends are deaf people, of course, because of from high school. And even in my house, I wake up every day with a deaf person. I have a deaf person in the house who is a friend, and we live together. I am an advocate of maternal mental health of deaf mothers. It's because in 2019, I gave birth to a very beautiful girl. And after I gave birth, I went through postpartum depression, which made me, when, of course, because as I have said, my friends are deaf and they would visit me, they would come to see the baby. And I explained how I was feeling. They never understood what it is. So from that, I started more of advocating to them and telling them about maternal mental health. And in 2020, I got this friend who I've talked about who went through rape. And she gave birth to a very beautiful girl, but because she's a total orphan, she didn't know about how to take care of a baby or even where to start. So I took her in my house with her baby, whom we live together up to now. And through this, I realized there are so many gaps about deaf mothers that we assume, especially when they go to the hospital because of communication barriers. That's why I'm an advocate of maternal mental health. And I really try to work with deaf mothers so that I can try to lessen the gap, or to make the gap a bit small, so that especially in the hospitals, that they can communicate with the doctors and with the health workers and can understand one another. I also host a show with Science TV called Mother's World, which I think I love my space and I love being in the deaf world. I feel like this is the best choice I made. About the topic about love, I know through working with the deaf people, I have realized that that I love more to be touched, the touch language, as Paul has said, and also words of affirmation, because I think also because of my growing up, I've learned that I need affirmation means everything to me. And as a mother, I've been stretched more through this. I have a daughter who loves affirmation. So every time she does something, no matter how small, even if it's removing the cup from the table to the kitchen, she wants you to clap for her and say she has done it well. So through this, I have learned and I love it also. Yes, love is a human rights need, and I think we need to advocate more for this. Thank you. I think I've said everything.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm still reeling about all those amazing things that you're doing, you know, and it's awesome. I think you are doing an awesome job. You are really doing an awesome job, Judy, because I know that's the gap. Like, as you were speaking, I was just looking at all the gaps that we face as PWDs. I'm looking at the rights, I'm looking at justice, I'm looking to access, just that basic communication of when they're in hospital. You're bridging a lot of gaps that maybe we might not understand. And I know even in families where they have deaf people or those who are hard of hearing, one of the greatest things that affects the deaf when they in their self-esteem and in their fitting in society is when they're in school, they're all understanding each other. Then when they come to our community, they can't understand what's going on. And you can imagine that level of isolation. And these are some of the acts of love that sometimes we need to do as a community to embrace them. Understand. I know it's a weird space, but we really need to. And kudos to your grandma, because she pushed you to your destiny. Because if she had not done that, you know, you would not be where you are. Am I right? Yeah? Yeah.
Very, very true. Very true.
Yes. So sometimes we have people in our lives, and that's how they show us how they like. They see beyond what we think and believe in ourselves, and they push us for that extra mile so that we are the greatest version of who we can be. And then now let's see, Consolata, are we okay now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfecto. Yes, 100% now. Take us from the top.
Okay, I'm Consolata, and my journey in the field of special needs education started long when I was in a very young girl. My school was neighboring a school for the deaf, and as before the coming of COVID, those many years back, we used to have inter-school games, and once we interacted with the deaf, they used to be very angry and they would beat us very much. So nobody wanted to be near them or even to play their games. And one day when I was in class 6, my teacher told us that he wanted to go to teach the school for the deaf. And I was like, why leave us? We can hear, and why are you joining the deaf? Those who beat us all the time. And she told me, you know why they behave like that? It's only because they want you to hear them, to understand, to communicate to you. They want to interact with you. They want to pray with you, but you are not understanding their language. That's the only reason why they behave like that. So I felt so sorry, and I felt that I need to be one of those people who will grow up to love them and to be their teachers and to bridge that gap. And from there, I started now working hard to become nothing short of an SNE teacher so that I could bridge that gap. And when I finished my 4th form, my parents took me to a nursing school because I used to go to the hospital that was near me and offer voluntary services to help in distributing medicine and helping clean the hospital. So they thought I could make a very good nurse as opposed to my maxims and my beliefs. So after arguing about with my parents about it, they said, now you have to go to a nursing school. And after that, if you still feel that you don't want to become a nurse, come back and tell us. And then a sister who was in charge of the hospital I was assisting told me that she never taught me to be disobedient. So first I obey, go to a nursing school. And if I still feel that I still wanted to become a special needs education teacher, she would sponsor me now to KISE. And that is where I started. I went to Amba Nursing School. I passed with the credit, a nurse, but on coming back, I still wanted to go to a teaching school where I could learn the skills and knowledge and attitude that would enable me bridge the gap of people with disability and those without. So that's how I joined KISE. And while I was in KISE, I used to do voluntary work in Olkarau Special School for the physically handicapped, where I came across so many learners with diverse needs and diverse disabilities. And from there, I learned, and after the 5 years that I had offered my voluntary services, now I was recruited by the TSC, that is in the year 2010, and I was posted in a public school. Now, because the Olkarau is Catholic sponsored. And this here now, I found a different phenomenon whereby learners would come to school very hungry. They had nothing for breakfast. They never had enough for supper. And now I used to go with my learners because now they could not understand anything I'm teaching them when they are hungry. So I would move from one house to another with a dish and my runners following me. And after we had borrowed enough food, now they would eat and we would go back now to class and start learning. And then people in the area became aware now of what I was doing. And as we know, like in my community, people had some stories that that are passed on from one generation to another about disability. So this happened even that time, and they would say disability is a bad omen, it is a curse from God, and those type of stereotypes, they were happening around me. So I was also stigmatized, just like the runners were. And we used to be like, I got used to it. And even if somebody would greet me passionately, I would wonder, this person, does he or she know that I teach runners with disability? And then when I left that school, I now came to another one where I'm stationed now. And the story is the same. Here now, even your colleague teachers will say, this one is a wastage of labor. Why is she there? And things like that. So I said, I'll never turn back. I will advocate for these learners because those people who understand them, like my primary teacher told me, they are very few. And I need to be one of them so that I will make a change. And if I am able to change the attitude of only one person, then I can move the world. And there I am now. So these runners, I came to realize that given a chance, they does even more than those whom we think can do better because they are not handicapped. And my story is long, and I have got through a lot of challenges, one of them being stigma. And the best thing, and one thing that makes me really contented, is to see that I have changed, or I have taught a learner who never knew something and has known. I have also seen rehabilitation of runners with physical handicap through surgery and through assistive devices, and that makes my heart contented. And I still feel to move on because there is something I have done, however little it is, to a person with a disability, and I have bridged that gap. So for me, love is not only a human right, but a need. It is a basic need, not only to those with a disability, but to everybody. Because currently, I tend to think that I am a teacher like them, yet I'm stigmatized simply because I'm teaching those with disability. And I have also seen something me a lot. When I see a mother or a parent having a child with a disability, the community changing their names, like stops to be called Mama Nyambura or Mama Wamboi or Mama Wangeshi, and they start calling her the mother of that disabled child, the mother of that child who can't see, the mother of that. And I feel it is my duty and obligation to bridge that gap, to help them see and know that the disability is really not inability. These runners are able, just like any other person. Sylvia, for me, yes, I believe health is a basic need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Consolata, and thank you for the work that you're doing. For those who are here with us, just to clarify, she is a teacher. And in the community of persons with disabilities, there is one thing we call as the inner core community. You will find we always need the support groups around us. We need those who care for us. We need for those who support our children, even the adults living with disabilities. And you will find like one of the closest people is a teacher. And like she has sacrificed. She had to go study and then still do this when God calls you to do something, nothing can stop you. And we applaud you, Consolata, for all that you're doing, and also for championing for the caregivers and for the children with special needs, and changing the narrative on also stigma, because that is one of the greatest things that we go through as families and as persons with disabilities. And I will go back now to Crystal just to ask this, something that now she has brought to the forefront about stigma. What's the greatest, just tell us your greatest story on stigma. And if I wanted to put it in two ways, what is the moment that you felt most stigmatized? Because of course that affects most of people, how they feel and how they perceive things also. And what's the greatest sacrifice that someone has had to do for you? Those are two things. So it's an act of, there is the stigma part, and then there is sacrifice. Well, if you would know, what would you call like the greatest sacrifice anyone has ever done as a show of love?
Wow. What? Some deep questions, Sylvia.
Yes, it's about intimacy. This is the level of you want to get to understand, you know.
I'm trying to get us all very vulnerable on this call. Okay. Stigmatization or feeling stigmatized. I think one that stands out is, okay, so I went to the UK to study. I studied film and theater. That was at a time when I was still, I was sort of struggling with poor eyesight, but it was still, I could still see with glasses on at the time because I was still a teenager. So I was still using some glasses at the time. And I went to this degree, which is a visual degree, theater and film, generally speaking, you would think that you'd need your eyes. So I finished the degree. After the degree, I applied for a training at BBC in the UK. I got in, did the training, and then after they employed me. So had the best time of my life at the BBC, learned so much support, like I'm saying, acceptance. I think obviously out there, those who have lived or traveled or even just, seen the news or interacted with people know that in the Western world, there are many more structures to support all types of diverse people, okay? Unfortunately, Africa has not reached there as far forward as the West, but at the BBC, I got a lot of support. Basically, they were just like, whatever you need, Crystal. We understand that this is an ongoing illness. And even if next year you need something extra, just tell us, just communicate. We're here to help you be the best version of yourself, like you said in the intro. Finished that. And then I came home in 2013 after a few years of working. So I had a wealth of experience, my degree, passion for media and all those things. I started to look for jobs here at our, the local broadcasters that we all know and love. But I would be looked at. My CV would get me through the door, but once I was in the door and I was holding my white cane, it was like, is this Crystal Asige? Yeah, that's me. So I was always met with in every interview, and I applied for many. Every interview I'd get in, I'd go to the next level of actually having an interview after being shortlisted, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, well, excuses, pleasantries." By the end of the day, you could still feel the tone. Their tone changed from the emails, how they sound on email or how they sound on the phone, and so. How will you be able to do this? How can you be a producer? How will you be able to go on set? Will you really be able to travel to location? That means that you'll always have to have somebody with you, which obviously, as an employer, they don't like hearing that. It's an extra cost.
Yeah, they don't like the extra cost. There is always that fear, that unknown aspect. Like, do I have to, accommodation?
Exactly. So that was my first, not my first, but one of my biggest heartbreaks was having spent so much time and effort acquiring all this knowledge and experience and coming home, because I always wanted to come home to give back into my own society, my own community, and my own people told me that I wasn't good enough, that I wouldn't make it, that this is not for people like me. So it was very painful because media is what I am. I think that God has put me here for, singing for sure, but the other aspect is telling stories and educating, entertaining through visual, mediums. So that was a real big hurdle for me to have to overcome. Many nights spent at home crying in my room, moments of depression for sure. At some point, I lost a lot of weight. I even started losing my hair because I was so heartbroken, man. I was heartbroken. And yeah. And so what I did instead was to say, you know what, God, you gave me these talents, right? And also the disability is now here. So now what? What now? Do I just sit at home? Do you want me to go back to the UK even though I didn't want to? Things like that. And I made a pivot at that time, which was, Crystal, it's not the way you look at something, but it's not the way something looks like, but it's the way you look at it, right? So I was like, okay, if I'm not going to be employed, I can employ myself. If they're not going to help me do this, I can try to do it myself. What can I do alone? What can I achieve just by myself with my own two hands and my voice, things like that. So I think that was one of them. And then something that someone has done for me that's very loving. There's a time I was dating some time ago when I was in the UK. I don't know where I was. I don't know what had happened, but basically with glaucoma, what gets shot first is your night vision. That's what goes quicker than daytime. So as soon as it goes dark in the evenings, I really can't see. Or back then, I really couldn't see. I struggled a lot. I would walk way slower. I would walk in roads that, sort of vichochoro, so that I don't have to walk through past many people and cyclists and all that. So I was looking to go home. And I couldn't find my bus stop, or rather, I couldn't find the buses because I couldn't see, as the bus came forward, what they were saying. So they would just pass me without me stopping them. So I called this guy that I was dating. He was already home, which was like 30 minutes away from town. I was like, I really need help. I don't know what to do. Do you have a friend who's working in town who's about to finish their shift, etc.? He said no. So I just sat thinking about what to do. And then all of a sudden I hear, Crystal. And I'm like, Crystal, I'm here. And he had left his house. He had come all the way just that he can put me on a bus and he takes me home and then he goes home. I was like, yo. That is so sweet.
I can feel it.
I was just, and then he gave me the warmest hug because, it was freezing and all that. I'd been standing outside for a good an hour and a half at least trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And he just gave me a hug and then he was like, don't worry, I'm here. And you see what I'm talking about? Acts of service, support.
Acts of service. Yes.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Tears in my eyes, even thinking about it now.
I rescue me. I'm trying not for mine to come down. Oh my God, that is so sweet. It's all we always say, it's in the small little things. It's in knowing my need, what I need at that point, Maybe even if we call someone, maybe that someone would struggle or give excuses, but he took it upon himself to this is my
or take a taxi. Why don't you just, do this?
Yeah,
open this app,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was quite awesome.
But what I really do believe in, what I've been hearing other people say as well, Consolata, Judy, it's really powerful. It's this idea that love empowers. Because when you feel loved, you like you said yourself, you feel like it's a superpower. You just feel bigger. Your chest is, opens up. You stand a bit more confidently. Something just happens. It's like electricity. It's like a different energy field that surrounds you. And I don't know, but love really real love empowers you. And when you are empowered, you then can empower others and
do anything you want, right? And you conquer it. That is quite magnificent. It's so unfortunate that the minute you check in, the CV speaks, and when you show up, as if you've been able to achieve all of this. And it's such a sad state of affairs that we get judged because of, as if we're focusing on the disability than the ability. Remember what I said earlier, and we champion for see the able and not the label. So now when you walk in now, they label you. And of course, they forget all that was on the CV of this magnificent person who can do it, and now start judging and limiting you. And that's why I said our environment is one of the greatest limiting factors to the abilities that we have as PWDs in the community. Once the community stops with the stigma and accepts people for who they are, accepts their abilities and their limitations are equal, and try to do something about it equitably, then I think all these issues of stigma, and even as Consolata mentioned, there is that thing about people change how they look at you. Remember, she said that a parent, once you give birth, you become a parent of that disabled child. You're still a person. Just having a small, just because you have a child who has a disability doesn't change who you are. You still remain who you are and complete and whole, despite and in spite of your child's disability. And one thing what everyone forgets, if you're listening to your story, listening to Paul's stories, you had your sight before. And like I always say when I'm having conversations on disability, everyone is a candidate for disability. Old age, a road accident, an attack, an illness, all of these things can disable you at any time. So let's respect how we retreat and how we, embrace those with disabilities. Mr. Paul, over to you. Tell us about the sacrifice and your, let's say, worst case experience of stigma.
Wow. Thank you very much for the conversation. It's very interesting.
We want to see you, Paul.
You can see me now?
Yes, we can see you now. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much for the conversation. It's very interesting one, and it's coming deep, and very interesting. I'll give two case scenario. Number one case scenario is I was among the first guy who was applying jobs in the biggest telecom industry in Kenya for a job. And something interesting is that I was chosen to be among those who are going for the interviews. And what happened is that after having those first interviews, and then I was like told, you guy, you require special examination. But that never really happened. So that one I was really like shocked, and I was not believing that these people think that I want a special examination while I've never experienced a special examination in my life. Because all what we do is just doing the same exams just like any other person. I tried to explain, and really that was one of my lowest moments. And it was after an experience whereby I had circulated more than 385 applications for jobs. And then this one is one which I was expecting that now it will be like the showstopper or the beginning of my changed life. But that one really became something else. So it's I can say that we have really to battle some things. And I found myself like even debating, what does it mean really to be employed as a person with a disability? What does it really take? Why do people really assume some of these things? And from that experience, it really taught me that it's somehow like we have to continue fighting. If I fight for myself, I have to like say that I'm fighting for 3 Paul Mogambis in place. Because now I have to show that I'm qualified. That is number one. Number two, I have to tell them that I am blind and a blind person can do it. Number three, I have to show them I can do much better than the rest. That's why in all my time in terms of work experience or whatever I do, I've always seen that it's a question of whereby people do not really, they make you to perform even more extra than them. You even take more long hours so that you can prove yourself. And that is not supposed to be the case, because you're just supposed to appreciate the diversity which do exist us. Because at the end of the day, we cannot all be the same. There are those who can take lessons slower. There are those who can learn fast. But we as persons with abilities, we are made to do things which are more even more than other people. For example, even in this field of being blind, or even you're a person who is a neurodiverse or even a deaf person, other people will never learn sign language. Other people will never learn about how to learn other keyboard strokes. You'll never find yourself learning other softwares. But you as a blind person, and you're performing the same work just like the other person, you'll have to learn this. And the employer maybe has not even created that time for you. So you have to create more extra time for you so that you can be able even to make things to become more easier for you. So you have even to take more, like when other people maybe might be taking one for the road somewhere there, you have to ensure that you do something extra so that you can prove yourself that this one can be done. So it is also a question of the extra input you put. Another interesting thing is that there's this certain day when I was walking on the road. You see me, I love my own independence sometimes. Yeah. And having lived in one of the largest places in the world, early those days in Githurai for 5 days, there's a day when police, my white cane was hit by a bus and a vehicle. So what happened is that I was like, should I demand for them to pay, or what should I really do? But because of the way people were really wanted to hit this bus driver who did that, I just told them, just forgive them. But I hope that he can ensure that I reach where I was going. I'll go and get another copy of the white cane. So sometimes people, they might think that we might be sometimes harsh, but we aren't. We would like also to behave just like any other individual within the community, as much as we face challenges. Because what I find through that incident is that it could have happened to any other person, and even if it was not a white cane, something else could have happened. Yeah. And then most interesting thing is about when I used to go to this market by myself, sometimes people would surround me to ask me questions. So I find myself sometimes, it's like the expectation which people have, the low expectation which they expect about a person with a disability is not, it's really some things which really make some person's abilities not to come out, or even they make us to look as if we are not normal human beings. Sometimes it makes us to feel it's not a comfortable zone. Then I think late last year, these are small experience with some employer somewhere. And it happened that, you see, even if we're in this space for disability, not everyone is with us in this journey. And I normally classify them as, see those matatu conductors who normally tell you that we are going to Mombasa to have a sweet time there. But then they remain at the river road. At the terminals, exactly. So we have these kind of people within our space who are like that. They know that you're supposed to be heading to Mombasa, but they start telling you, oh, we want to do this. We cannot do this. This guy was fumbling. So at the end of the day, it's a question of even seeing that aspect that if you don't give persons' abilities opportunity a chance of to do what they want to do, you also make their life much more difficult. And that's why you might find ourselves at the site, we might say that we are moving in the right direction, but sometimes we create those barriers or the walls to ensure that a child with a disability or a person with disability succeeds. Because I'm not finding a situation whereby if you have a person with cerebral palsy, because sometimes we go like for interviews. And sometimes because you have not interacted with them very well, and from their act of speech, you tend to classify them as alcoholic because of the way they communicate. I really, I see some of these things, they are like, I don't know what I even don't like even call it ignorance. It is over ignorance, because that's the way this person has been created. And we have really to move and understand that, give them a chance, let them do what they can so that they can get this space. Because if we are not giving them an opportunity, they cannot even feel that love. Because love is not just the relationship bit of it, it's also the love of getting opportunities, the love of feeling that you can participate, the love you feel that you can also go and dance and do something else, etc. Oh, you reminded me of something else about there's a certain is it a club? Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes blind people, sometimes we like organizing some funny events. And there's this club whereby people are blind, some blind people went there, and they were really chased away like dogs, because people think that it's, you can imagine that you are saying that you are going out, and maybe you're having your friends, and sometimes you're having opposite gender, and then you are chased away, how it feels. So those are some of these experiences which you experience, and it's really tough.
So you are chased.
Outside there, it's very tough. It's just that.
But
yeah.
Is it the fact you're still human? You still can dance. You still can have a good time. Who said just because you cannot see, you cannot enjoy life to its full? And
so it happens like that. Those are some of the experiences.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing, Paul. And yeah, it is tough sometimes just to try and navigate the world, of which I will touch on the question I am seeing that. Do you think the public is failing to appreciate, embracing, and fairly including differently abled people because they operate in silos? Should they do more? I believe this is as PWDs. Should they do more things collectively to demonstrate their sheer numbers? I think that touches a bit on like what Teacher Consolata does, what all of us are advocates in this space. And as Paul said, you will find that he is a blind person. He advocates, apart from the blind, he advocates for the entire PWD. Like he has a tidbit of knowledge like he had on cerebral palsy, on neurodiversity and stuff like that. Sometimes, just to answer Gilda, is there are people who actually understand the whole concept. There are those like, this is for me, I champion for the neurodiverse community because I'm a caregiver, and this is the life, and I would do that best. But it doesn't mean I don't understand the challenges Paul goes through, or Crystal goes through, or those of hard of hearing, or those physically challenged, because we interact, we have places where we are together. But then also the community, because the community has not yet accepted and embraced us. Like you're hearing all these barriers that are being put just because someone is disabled. The community needs to first understand. Understand exactly what it is that they need to accommodate. They need to accommodate persons with disabilities, and in turn, that will make their life way easier. For you as a person in the community, you should be able to call out, like what happened to him. You saw that the community is the one that wanted to lynch the driver. That is the unity, right? If you look at the numbers of those with disabilities and those without, and like Paul said, why is it that they're the ones who have to start having those extra accommodations? The person didn't first even seek to find out if he is okay doing the same paper and the same with everyone else. They just immediately assumed that he needed that special accommodation, which, Paul, you didn't tell us if you got that special accommodation or you were disqualified because of that. So Gilda, to answer your question, yes, we are there in numbers. Not everyone has first accepted where they are. Not everyone is able to come out. Not everyone has had the opportunity to access devices that makes it easier for them to also be in the community comfortably, right? And that's why you will also find that we have organizations of persons with and also for persons with, that those who are passionate about their rights can champion for that. I believe it's the greater community to understand the lesser community and do something about it, right? Because as much as we are out there, yes, we have our numbers. In Kenya, we're like 1 million compared to the 45, 46. So I think it is easier for us as an individual in our own rights to just try and understand and try to feel where they are and where they come from and what it is that they need, because there is no special world that they will go out to. We need to integrate them into our system, because once out of school, they have to come into the working space. They have to come out into the community. So for us, how are we accommodating them? That's where we fail. We fail. They're not failing. We are failing them, because it's for us to integrate them into the system. Our leaders are failing. Our systems are failing, because our systems are supposed to be very accommodative, that everything is seamless. And I'm looking at my clock, and I will ask one question. And thank you, Consolata, for alluding about stigma, so that we are able to have this discussion and also paint out some of the gaps. Now, since
Can I just add something, Sylvia? Just
yes,
60 seconds to that question from the chat box. As well, I would add that if you have been beaten down for so long and told this is not a space for you, whether it's in word or in action, or you have been hidden away from society for so long, then for sure you won't have the confidence to always be able to come out and speak up. People who are on this call right now, on this panel, we've overcome those kinds of barriers because of support, because of opportunities, being positioned by people around us who believe in us. But there are majority of people with disabilities who don't have such platforms, and their confidence is short. So how can they come out into a world and speak out about their issues and, be bold and be loud and all that, when they've been told for so many years that, it's not possible for you. It's not possible for you. It's like, there's this experiment that was done, I don't know where, I think in the States, where I think a dog was given a shot of electricity every so often, every time he tries to leave this little box, tries to escape. He was given that shot of electricity for so many times that when the doctors opened the little door for him to just walk out, by the time that he had that freedom just to walk out, he just was completely, he didn't even try, basically, the little puppy. So I'm basically trying to say that if over time you're broken down, think about like domestic abuse, think about gender-based violence, things like that. People who always go, why didn't you leave that house? But you don't understand until you're in that space. If someone is not there to like tell you that there is another option and that it's okay for you to come out and you can speak and you will be listened to this time, just try one more time. We'll listen this time. Society also has to be that person to be like, you know what, I also have to take an extra step. I shouldn't just be sitting in my home ignorant. I shouldn't just be sitting in my home, not trying to be explorative and, try to figure out or understand different types of people and how other people live. Don't be in your own bubble as well. Reach out, do something different for once, interact with people with disabilities more often. Then you'll see, just like Lorraine is doing this event, she had an experience recently where she was like, man, I didn't even know that these kinds of things happen. I had no clue. It's only when I interacted with this young girl with a disability when I started to understand. So society needs to also, just level up, Kidogo.
Yeah, I hear you. And I support every word that you said. And that's basically it. Just meet us halfway, come to our space. And small things. For me, I'll speak from the caregiver's point of view in line with all of this. It's a time for love. But one of the greatest things that happens, why is 80% of caregivers single parents? Because you will find the default setting is, I can't deal, it's your problem, you're the woman, it's your issue, they walk out. You're left to raise this child alone. When it comes to community, like you had, the first thing, you're rebranded. From mother of John, you become mother of the disabled child, mother of the retired child. For the neurodiverse, it's worse, because everyone thinks, you must have done something wrong to deserve this. You don't deserve it. All we just need is love and acceptance. So are those with disabilities. That's all they want. Love and accept and understand. small actions of love can just be like, oh, I am tired, I'm fatigued. One day, just tell me, I'll watch the kids for you. You go to the salon. Let me hold forth for you. You go and run your errands or something like that. Some time off, because it's not easy. Yeah, we're saying we're celebrating caregivers. It is not easy. And as much as it's the most rewarding thing and it teaches you a lot and it builds resilience, sometimes not everyone wants to be strong. Sometimes everyone just wants to be loved, like that didn't happen. Remember, they're fighting their own battles. The same way everyone gets shocked. It's the same way as a parent, you'll be like, what did I do to deserve this? I know I battled with that for like 4 years, trying to accept, it takes time, because when we are all giving birth, we all want a perfect child who will be our perfect fairy or everything we all want. But we are not God. And it's not like a deck of cards that I can say, can I reshuffle and get other cards that are better that I can deal? We don't have that option. It is what God gave you. It is what you will run with. It's not like a letter that I will say, oh, return to sender. It's your child. You have to embrace the person. And that is what it is. And that's our daily life. Whatever is going on whatever our children are going through out there, whatever you make them feel from out there, they come to us as parents. We are also broken, but we have to cover them with love. We have to tell them it's going to be okay. As much as I cannot guarantee that for my child, but I have to build that confidence so that they're able to step outside and believe they can be anything that they want to be and do. And like you've heard from all the stories, it takes someone believing in them for them to be able to be that confident person to stand up. But if we keep beating them down, then they will not amount to who they're supposed to be. They'll not be the best version of who they are. So today, as you step out, remember to love that person. Remember to just go through that extra mile, as little as like the love gesture that Crystal got, the person came to support her. The next time you meet someone by the roadside and you see they're struggling, you just politely try to see where they need love and ask. You see, the first thing I did was asking Crystal and Paul, how would you like to be referred to? Because people are different, and you will find that small things to you, it might not be, to you it might be small, but it means a lot to them. And even for that, your next door neighbor, just small things. Sometimes just come and chill with me and make me laugh. You don't know the last time I laughed as a parent, because I'm constantly running around in this maze trying to just, get these things done. There is regular this. I have to deal with the extras. You have to do things like much more than the regular. So that's on the caregiver's point of view. I would like to ask, Crystal, are you dating or are you single? It's Valentine. We'd like to know.
I have quickly unmuted my mic. I want to answer this question. I'm joking. I'm single.
Okay. Single. How has that journey been for you? Because I'm sure people are curious. Do you get to date? Do you not get to date? Do you feel peer pressure? Do you feel left out when your age mates are in this, as in, like, you hope to settle, have a family? All those questions are things that people do ask, and I know they usually do come. So what are your thoughts on that, the pressure, and what's your status? Do you hope to actually fall in love? And
yeah.
But what do you feel like is?
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you for a second there, but I think I had most of the points. So yeah, absolutely. It would be nice to, I see love as, healthy love that I see around me. I see it as an opportunity just to like live with your best friend, to do life with your best friend, to have a good time, somebody who, is just like your person, you know what I'm saying? And to me, that sounds like a beautiful thing. Not specifically anything that I would pick out of that companionship, but just having someone to share a day with, to cook with in the evening, to laugh with, to be goofy around, things like that, to be able to like depend on, to be able to teach and have them also teach you. So you get a student sometimes, you teach it sometimes. I think that sounds, I mean, it's from God, right? So it sounds fantastic. And I have dated, I mean, my love life is, okay, not as active as maybe, other people, but I've had a couple of relationships, but I've been, in the past, I've chatted to or gotten to know a few guys, but then also my own personality is that I don't date like casually just for the sake of dating. I want to be able to know that, this person, there's a reason why we've sort of like landed in this moment together, kind of thing. So what else did you ask? You said children. I'm a bit okay. I'll be vulnerable and honest and transparent. I'm a bit scared. I'm a bit scared. I'm a bit scared because you see, when I see my sister and other women in my family having their own kids, it's even them with eyesight, small things they miss, and I'm like, will I be the best mother I would like to be? I want to see my kid, tamba for the first time. I want to see my kid smile for the first time. I want to see this is his or her little teeth growing and be like, oh, and I feel like I'll miss all those things, even though somebody next to me, a nanny, can be like, oh, she or he just did this and he's doing this now. But I want to be able to. So I pray to God about that all the time. And also pray to God for a man a partner that is dependable, is reliable, and who will be able to be like, you know what, we're here to do this together. I'm not going to leave because of, like you said earlier, men just go like, this is your problem. When you have a disabled child or a child that is, problematic in some way, they say, mtoto wa mama sijui nani, no longer the man's child. So I also pray to God for a partner that was created for my Adam, someone that I've come from his rib. Yeah. But I think all that in good time. I also feel like marriage and motherhood, or marriage specifically, like society always makes you think that's like the highest level of achievement for a woman. Like if you're not married, then you're doing something wrong. And I think that society we need to eradicate that type of thinking, because there's other reasons that God has put you on this earth. You don't have to. Marriage is not for everybody. Not every single person who's been married should have even been married. That's why we're seeing so many divorces. And some people are not built for it, to be honest. Let's just be honest about it. Yeah. So even though that is society's way of thinking, or that's traditionally what, happens, stages of life are school, work, marriage, family, those are the sort of like the stages. It's, you're an individual. You've been created as one. There's no one else like you. So you can't follow every single trend and path just for the sake of it. Make sure that you're ready. Make sure that you're praying about it. Make sure that you're asking God to prepare you for that, because as well, marriage it's not for the faint-hearted. So I hear. It's not all like a Hollywood movie, right? Yeah. So there's some women like you don't anticipate, like you're saying, to give birth to a child who has a disability, for example. What happens then? Will it be through thick and thin? Will it be till let's do us part then? These kind of things, conversations have to be had. I think people have to have more intentional conversations, not just like marriage counseling, and also more progressive marriage counseling, because there's some like outdated marriage counseling sessions I've heard of, to be honest. Things that, let's sit down and really, let's break this thing down. If this happens, what's your position on it? And just be honest, lay your cards out. So I look forward to those kinds of experiences. If I get them, great. If I don't, my music is my baby. So all the songs that I create are my children.
Oh, right.
That's what I'll leave you guys with on this. That'll be my legacy to leave.
Oh, awesome. That's magnificent. At least you give us a part of you, your voice, your experience, and you wow us. And there is something that's more to it. We all have different purposes. I see Paul is back. So Paul, tell us, are you dating? Are you single? Are you hopeful? What are the greatest challenges, at least in the next 2 minutes, because we are time bad. Paul?
Hello.
Yes, Paul.
Sorry, I was performing some music somewhere. Okay, but I'm back.
You're back. So we were discussing the final question, which is, today being Valentine's, what's your status? Single, married, taken, looking, and hopeful for family, and what's your experience been like? But we have to time it to 2 minutes because we're losing time. Thank you.
Obviously, my comments would be like mapenzi yanaran dunia. So different experiences, different exposure, and currently looking. Hello?
Yes, we lost you for a second.
I was saying that I'm hoping to have a family so that I can have what I call Mpofu number 1 junior, Louis Braille, etc.
Okay, I like that. Well, for those who don't know, he calls himself Mpofu number 1 on social media and very passionate about advocacy. What are the challenges have been? Have you ever been dumped because of your disability?
Hey, my friend. Hey, severally.
Oh, okay. Like when they met you, they didn't know you had a disability. What do you mean?
Hey. Oh, I remember one. Oh, hey, it's where it happens, eh?
ICD, we just can hear Kenya School of Cultural Development has been your story of your life, huh?
Different experiences. I can just give one incident whereby this. See, there is one those days when early Facebook was coming up, and I was among the pioneers among the disability sector who were like vocal in that space. So I found myself that I had a date somewhere, and then we had arranged very well, and this person never believed that I'm blind because of the way I was doing my own social media thing there. Then we decided to meet in a certain place in town, but the surprise, alizima simu.
Oh wow!
So that was the first. But since I'm a person who never gives up, I tried another one, and it happened that I was competing with what can I call? One of the MPs.
Oh wow!
Hey, so and that one led me to compose a song about this baba mama wacha kunikazia ni binti yako amenipenda. I've not yet released a video, but it's all about that story because I had that experience of whereby that we were competing with a big shot. So, and I saw that it's a very what happened is that the girl was easily taken to another country, and then we stopped our relationship there. That's how it ended.
Okay. Wow.
Thank you.
Experiences, like fun experiences. It's not easy. It's a hard knock. Yeah. Compare or something. For those who don't know Swahili, that means they say clean-heartedly competition is competition. For our teacher, Consolata, tell us, what's your view on love? And now that for you, you've sacrificed yourself to love, to champion and stand in the gap for the needs children and you with an open heart. How is it for you? I know you agree with us that it is a human right, and we pray that God gives you a lot of strength to continue. But what would you like to tell us as your parting shot, Consolata?
I think it is the phenomenon of change. So with love can change everything. Love is God himself, and love was initiated by God. So if we all embrace love, we can change the world. Yeah.
Awesome. That's very, very well said. We just embrace love. And I love that you're you have a big heart and you're teaching children, because that's the point of change. You build them, you show them, and they accept themselves. You teach them how to do it right. And like we say, that is what, it's a key foundation that we leave even when we go out there. As we are coming towards the end of our session, I would like to also recognize that we have the president of the Rotary Club of World Disability with us today. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for putting this idea into Lorraine, because it is a conversation we need to have all the days. I have been your moderator, Sylvia Moramo Chapo, a mother of 2 special needs children, and I love it, love advocacy, because like my foundation says, Andy Speaks, we would like to speak on behalf of the nonverbal. At least Crystal is here, can tell you her experiences. My minor will not be able to say anything because they're nonverbal, but nonverbal does not mean they're non-thinking, non-feeling, or non-understanding. They feel all these things, but it's upon us as a community to embrace them and give them that chance to be able to talk and express themselves the same way. And I am hopeful that my son will find someone who will love him for who he is, embrace it, have families. I am hopeful, Crystal, for grandchildren. And I would like to hand it over to the amazing Lorraine to close it for us, as we know who are the winners for the caregivers who were nominated that we had. And thank you for everyone also for listening and for being patient. And I believe this has been amazing, eye-opening, and touching, listening to the stories and experiences and learning a thing about the world of disability. Over to you, Lorraine, and thank you very much.
Wow. I don't know how many of you can put on your videos. This has just been, many of you are hiding behind your cameras. I know I saw your messages saying how you're tearing away behind there, and you were laughing at me because you could see I was all choking up. But what an evening, what an amazing, amazing evening we've had, and I know a lot of people kept asking me, but is there a point to this? I mean, why would you want to have a Valentine's for caregivers? And I'm thinking, because that's what I want to do, because people don't understand. I think when you have a calling for something, everybody wants you to do it their way. And everybody said, why don't you do it for the, the children with disability themselves? But I'm like, that's not the idea I have. The idea is for their caregivers, the guardians. And like Sylvia said, and like I had a conversation with Crystal the other day, it is watching my auntie who her world has been thrown into a different, kind of a world now after we've rescued my niece after 14 years, who has severe cerebral palsy and autism. And just looking at her life has stopped completely, because she has nobody to help her. And it hit me so hard that I have never in my wildest dreams imagined what caregivers go through. We always imagine there's a struggle a person living with disability has, or sorry, I was corrected the other day, it's a person with disability has, versus the person who takes care of them, the challenges, Sylvia having to be called Mama Yawale, 2 boys, that have disability. And, it's time for us to say, let's give them time. Let's just take those 2 boys. And I know Sylvia does this a lot. That's how she remains sane. She has a lot of support system around her, where go and have your time, your me time. Like now I'm so jealous. You're just there sitting in some beautiful coastal place and enjoying yourself, and we're here working. But you so deserve it. And I think all caregivers, be it for cancer patients, be it for our old parents, caregivers need time out. They need somebody to say, hey, we see you. You're doing an amazing job. Please go and rest. Give me my child is okay 100%, but I promise you there are times I want to give her away for 2 days so that then I can breathe. And yeah, she's about to come and look at me so badly, so that then I can breathe and take it all in. And for me, that was the calling. That is why we have this webinar. And I'm really touched and humbled by the many of you that were online. And for me, it's never about numbers. My pastors are here, my close friends are here, and they'll tell you if 2 people log in, we are good. Because you know what? Those 2 people had what we wanted to do and they thought it was good enough. So for me, that is incredible. Over to what everybody has been waiting for, and to my panelists. Wow, when I called Crystal, she was like, oh, give me a minute. That's on 14th? Let me think about it. Then she's like, hey, wait, I'm single, so really I'm going nowhere. So yeah, girl, we are together. We hope next Valentine we will be having dates, you know.
Every day is Valentine, bro. Every day is Valentine.
You know, every day is Valentine, absolutely. So over to the winners. Like I said at the beginning, our emails were overwhelmed day one, and I mean day one. And Sylvia, even before I go on, I don't know whether we had burning questions and we've closed people off.
Nah, I have not seen any on the chat box.
Please, if you have any questions, Sylvia will pick it up. So please don't stay quiet with your question. Just bring it on, and we will address it here. We have experts in the room who live this every day, and they'll be able to answer these questions for you. So yeah, I was saying from day one when we put out the post and said, please nominate, parents, caregivers, guardians of children with disability, we were overwhelmed. And I thought to myself, what have we just done? What have I just walked into? It's good to have an idea, but really, what was I thinking? And one of these people, like I was saying, this single mother, she has had over 200 votes. I kept thinking, who is this person? That I had to even call one of the numbers and say, who is this person? So they explained that this lady works for G4S. She's a clerk. And I think the entire G4S has sent us emails. I had to at one point say, tell your staff to stop sending emails. Yeah. So drum rolls. I don't know how to do this and make it all glamorous. Yeah.
And the winner is.
And the most nominated person of 2022 Valentine to enjoy lunch at Nairobi Serena Hotel is Naomi Nyaboke Otiso. 201 votes. They were still voting up until 4 o'clock. So Naomi Nyaboke Otiso. Then we had a couple, and there's so many incredible stories about this couple. They're called Bebros and Damaris Kilelo. They had 150 votes. Again, even then we had to say, yo, please, you let others be voted. I mean, I can tell you your person might win, so please let others be voted in. The third person who garnered quite a number of votes is Mr. Jonathan Metet, who happens to be my friend as well. So I was really happy to see everybody on Facebook voting for Jonathan Metet. Another incredible story that touched me and moved me to tears was the story of Henry Jirongo. Henry Jirongo, somebody help me with the muting. Henry Jirongo is a father of 3 deaf children and a teacher who teaches his children. They're the ones who voted him in. And for me, that was incredible. It was really amazing to see these people say, out of all the parents we have in this school, this guy, man, he does everything for his kids and he lives his life for his kids. Yeah. The next winner is Mr. James Kaguma. And I like the gender balance in this thing. I was really excited. James Kaguma lost his wife to cancer last year. And he has a son who has a disability. The many people who voted didn't quite say what disability, but it was also incredible to see that people remembered this man who was widowed just a year ago and who is raising his son, and he has disability. Then we've got this one. Now we didn't get a name, but 4 people had voted them in. Helen Wawera's mother. Helen has a spina bifida. I don't know whether I've said that right, Sylvia. I might have butchered that entirely. And I think she's won several awards, Helen, and her mother is her rock. So she's not the one who voted. It's many other people who voted. Helen Wawera's mother. And then finally, we've got Elvis and Anne Joroge. I loved that we also got some couples. We encourage people, hey, there has to be couples.
It's encouraging to see their parents who are still together through it. It's something
together. Yes, because one of the things I've had through doing this in the last couple of weeks is people, either of the spouse leaves, whether the man or the woman. And like in our case, it's the woman who left the child. So even women leave. Let's not always be judgmental about men. Women also leave. I think the burden becomes too much for them. So ladies and gentlemen, we actually ended up with 12 people. We had only a budget for 10. So we are trusting God the other 2 shall be provided for. And yeah, so there you have it. Our winners for Valentine, they'll be having lunch at Nairobi Serena Hotel. 5-course meal. It's all taken care of. Red carpet and the works. Just to say, enjoy yourselves. We love you. We see you. We care about you. Yeah.
And may they make sure they've not eaten before they go. So they
yes, we will ensure. we will ensure that they have not eaten, and we'll ensure that. Fantastic. So I'm really honored. We've had people from all over the world tuned in. We had Colombia at one point, with the US, we had Bangladesh. I mean, for me, I'm truly, 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 truly humbled by the love and the support. And I can see still a friend of mine from the UK is still logged in. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for the love. Now, I'm also very blessed to have my two pastors. I don't know that Pastor Dachi is still here, but Pastor Dachi, are you still here? Can you see him, Sylvia? I can't see my screen because I'm on right now. Sylvia, you're on mute.
No, I'm saying in the past, we've lost like 3 people.
Okay, that's okay. That's fine. That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So I had also, my other pastor is here, Pastor Grace Ndege, who was meant to do the closing prayer for us. And everybody, I really want to say thank you for supporting Epic Lorraine Life events. Look out for more of our epic events. We call them epic for a reason. It's things like this, where we spend 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just having really, really meaningful conversations. Pastor Grace Ndege, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you so much, Lorraine, for such a wonderful, beautiful event, you and the other facilitators. We've enjoyed ourselves. I've been on the road, I'm still on the road, but you want me to do a closing prayer, and I've parked, by the side of the road just to do that. Is that okay?
That's fine. Thank you very much, Pastor.
Okay, so would we just thank God? So Lord, we want to thank you tonight. You're amazing. Look what Valentine means to you. It's about loving everybody. It's not just about people being in love with each other. It's about people loving each other. So, Lord, we thank you for all these families that have been nominated. We pray that you'll provide so that the 12 of them can go for this 5-course meal. Thank you for Lorraine, and thank you for her team that have planned this. Thank you that, Lord, it reminds us of what heaven will be like, that all of us will have a place in heaven, and it will be a happy place, and it will be a place where we all live and we're all loved. And so we thank you for these people who've created this during this Christmas. Thank you for these people who work hard behind the scenes, who cry a tear or two because of the things that they're doing as caregivers. And thank you for these gifts that have come through many corporates, oh God Almighty, through many people, just to take care of these people. We thank you for the people who are living, and they are such testimonies of how they have stood out despite every circumstance, and they are shining for the world. So we thank you for each and every one of them tonight. And we pray that you would remind them that they are loved, that they are valued. And the day is coming when we shall see the Lord. And that day will be a day of great joy as we stand before him and as we discover that he cared for us every day of our lives. So we will honor you and we thank you. Long live Epic Events. Long live Lorraine for caring for others, and even the co-host. We thank you and we love you tonight. And we pray that each and every one of us will know that tonight you are saying, I love you. We thank you and we honor you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen and amen and amen. Pastor Grace, you even told us it's Christmas, so it's okay. Yeah, it must feel like Christmas. It must be like Christmas for us. So I really wanted, before we drop off, I'd like to say thanks to our sponsors. We've been very, very, very blessed. We've had sponsors. We've had Tena, who brought in diapers the other day. I think I shared some videos. They brought diapers for these families, so we shall be sharing the diapers. We've had Chandaria Industries, my friend Dashan, who sent me some tissues the other day just to give, as a package to this family, the 10 families on the day that Serena gives us the date. We had Chandarana Supermarket, who have also surprises by giving us shopping vouchers for these families as well. We've got Tamuka Art, who do all our beautiful posters that most of you really, really love. Thank you very much, Tamuka Art. Who else have I left out, Hillary? And of course, Serena Hotel, where we shall, this family shall be having a 5-course meal. Because when you do something for somebody, why not go all out? Like Sylvia and I keep saying, why take them to a small hotel? Just dream big and take them to a 5-star hotel, because why not? Let's do big things for people who do big things for others. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. It is so good to see all of you, and keep praying for us so that we keep doing these amazing things. And God bless you. And have a blessed night. And happy Valentine's Day, whether single, married, dating, complicated. Love yourself. Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Judy, for doing the sign language for us. Our beautiful moderator, Asante Sana. You can go back and enjoy your Valentine now.
Thank you.
Holiday. Thank you so much. I'm Walimu Consolata. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Asante Sana. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Have a lovely evening.
Thought I couldn't try.